In this video, we are discussing additional on-page ranking factors, and we're going to start with mobile-friendly design or responsive design. Mobile-friendly design or responsive web design is extremely important part of a current SEO success strategy. It's something you really want to implement. It's something that is really big now, but it's going to be even bigger in the future as more people have mobile devices. Mobile-friendly pages improve your customer and visitor experience as well, which leads to higher conversions and response rate. Improving your page speed, load time using the Google Page Speed Insights tool can also dramatically impact your rankings because your website will show better on a mobile phone. Create a mobile friendly sitemap. That's another key factor that you can do. And then you could also do that using this link as far as creating a mobile friendly sitemap. They actually give you some tools using Google's Webmasters tools. The Google Webmaster tools are loaded with information, and I definitely recommend that you go there because you're going to find additional factors that are not mentioned in this course, that are brand new, that are up to date, that are also going to help you as well on your quest to getting the most possible traffic possible. So you can go out to google.com/webmasters and you can actually go through their support area or their question and answer or their help menu and get answers to these questions. But here's how they actually have a link here which will show you how to create a mobile friendly sitemap. There's also a link here to a source called madsubmitter.com/mobile sitemaps. That will actually create a mobile sitemap for you to help your website get found within the search results of mobile. And if you can get found within the mobile results of Google, that's even better than just the regular Google listings as well. And if you're found there and in the mobile listing, you have it all covered. The one thing Google looks at for your overall rankings is when people click on a link, do they actually land on your main site? And one thing to keep in mind is that Google's is always changing this, but their search engine will actually show. Sometimes they'll have mobile only keyword phrases or mobile only results that will show up for people on a phone compared to those on a laptop. And so using a tool like Mad Submitter to create a mobile sitemap and having a responsive site or a designated mobile page, which a lot of sites will use like M, the letter M, dot M is in mobile, so M dot easysurvivalgear.com would be one example that people are using. Responsive web design. These are some other things. You want to approach people that are designing a website for an optimal viewing experience. That's what responsive web design is. It's the approach for designing a website for an optimal view experience. Easy reading and navigation with a minimum of resizing and scrolling. We've touched on that briefly in this course as well. Quality viewing experience, it's a quality viewing experience across a wide range of devices like your mobile phones, tablets, or desktop computers. So it should look the same or it should be quality in that regard. So you're not having to zoom in, you're not having to resize or scroll all over to get the same content. It should size to fit. And here's an example on the left hand side here of a responsive web design is a site that is pretty much the same content all throughout. It's actually the exact same content, but you'll notice as people land on this site, if they're on a desktop, it's going to look this way. If they're on a tablet, it'll look like the one in the middle. And on the far right here, if they're on a mobile device or an Android phone or iPhone or other smartphone, that's how it's going to look. Notice that people can get the exact same information across all these avenues and all these platforms. So it does a really good job of kind of keeping with the same theme and the same design, but it makes it super easy so they're not having to do scrolling and resizing. Again, a test you can run is to grab the corner of your browser and resize it to see how your website looks. So grab the corner of your browser and resize it to see how your website shows up and how it looks. On-page SEO, here's some additional methods for mobile-friendly design. Here's some examples and templates. You can do a Google search for the responsive web design grid. This is actually a design grid that you could actually give to a designer and say, hey, I want you to create a mobile version of my website or a responsive version of my website using this tool. Responsive web design template. So this will actually speed up the process for having your mobile site created. It will also make it lower cost if you're using these templates as well. And you could also do a Google search for fast loading responsive WordPress theme. That's going to give you a WordPress theme that's fast loading, that's also mobile responsive, that you could just plug into your site, especially if you already have a mobile website. Responsive WordPress theme, that's another search phrase you can do. So these are great keyword phrases. Free responsive WordPress theme. These are all phrases that you could plug into Google to come up with design examples or design templates that then you could have somebody modify. You could modify them yourself, and you could learn it on your own, or you could outsource, which is the ideal method. But if you use some of these templates, it might make the process easier for whoever you outsource to. And typical places to outsource this kind of work: freelancer.com, odesk.com, elance.com is another big one. These are all websites where you could outsource this. Be very specific on your budget and goals. Don't go in there blindly and with a wide open budget, because you might get very high cost of work back. You also don't want to underpay. You don't want to pay so low that you get some of the worst responsive designers out there. But you also want to be specific, like, hey, I have a budget of $1,000, or I have a budget of $500, or I have a budget of $10,000. So be specific to your goals and to your needs, and hopefully somebody can work within those means. Again, if that does not work, there are responsive themes out there for almost any kind of platform. If you're running a website on OS Commerce or maybe another open source solution, there's a good chance that they're responsive design. Some of the biggest players in e-commerce, like BigCommerce, Volusion, all those really big players out there, they actually are using mobile responsive design as part of all their themes, because they know how important it is, and they've already incorporated that. So a lot of times you're already covered from the mobile design front, especially a lot of WordPress themes, they tend to be that way. Or you could switch WordPress themes. This would be a good time to freshen up your site, have a new look, have a new theme, and so you get a mobile responsive theme as well. Another on-page SEO factor is using the robots.txt file. A robots.txt file gives the search engines permissions to crawl your website. So give whatever search engine the permission to crawl your website. The file must always be named robots.txt, and it must be uploaded into your website's folder. It's placed in the root directory on your site. So if you're into the FTP, like you're the one uploading your files, then you could actually go through this method. It's used for protecting membership content. Like, for example, if you have membership content and your website's called yourdomain.com/membership or /members, and you don't want that content to show up in the search engines, you could actually tell the robots file, I don't want any of this material to be found within the search engines. Now, it does not mean it's going to happen, but it gives you a good chance of kind of protecting that. You should also have a membership software in place, so if it does get indexed, people have to be logged in and it forces them. And there's some cool membership site plugins that you could leverage for that as well. Subdomains, they need a separate robots.txt file. So subdomains, they actually need a separate robots.txt file. Use Google's resources for this. They actually offer a cool tool where they will actually help you. So if you go to Google's Webmaster Tool resources and type in robots.txt, they actually will explain to you the entire process of creating one. That's why I wanted to point it out, because the Webmaster Tools is very valuable, just like they give you advice on the XML sitemap structure as well. So if you are running a subdomain, again, just to go back to that point there, a subdomain would be like, let's say your subdomain is blog.yourdomain.com. The thing is, if you go blog.yourdomain, Google actually views that as an entirely separate website. That's why we recommend, if you're going to add a blog to your e-commerce site for the Google Freshness update, or to keep your site fresh, I would do yourdomain.com/blog, because then it becomes a part of that. All the content you add will benefit your main website as well. So if you do have a subdomain, though, they do need a separate robots.txt file to protect that content. Here's an example of what the robots.txt file will look like. You could also include your XML sitemap in there as well. So you can see, like, especially in WordPress does a good job of automatically kind of having this in place for you. That's one reason I absolutely love WordPress, is they're SEO friendly out of the box for the most part, and there's so many plugins and tools that make life easy. So if you had like a WordPress site, this one, for example, already is set up to disallow search engines like Bing or or Yahoo or Google from actually going in, especially Google, for example, of going in and spidering your WP admin, your WP includes, and that will actually limit that from showing up in the search engines because you don't want those files showing up. That's where your administrative material is. You don't want that showing up in the search engines, and so it's really important that you have the proper pages blocked on your site that you don't want to have people getting access to. Not only is it an issue, it causes a hassle, and it also is indexing unnecessary pages that may have low quality content value too. And so that's going to tell the search engines like, oh, this site has some great content, but also some really bad content, even though that content that you have protected there is not meant for people to see because it's like administration stuff. So you want to be careful that you're blocking that, not only to help increase the quality value of your site in Google's eyes, but also to keep people out. And that's where robots.txt file comes into play. And these tools will help you. If you go to Google Webmaster Tools, they will assist you with it. Images is another thing you can do. If you have images on your site, which I recommend and highly advise because a good content strategy incorporates images, infographics, things of that nature, it's a great way to get additional traffic. You can share image related information with the alt attribute, as it's called. That will actually explain to people what that image is about. So you could put in a keyword there if your image relates to that keyword. If the image does not display, your visitors get the idea of what it is, and that's one factor that Google likes because it makes your site, pleasant on the eyes. If people for some reason can't see the image, it can at least know what that image was about. Don't use the alt attribute as a plan to overstuff keywords. You could put your keyword in there, but don't stuff it and use it multiple times with your main keyword in there. Use your keywords here as they relate to the content on that page and whatever that page is about. It helps Google bring up images in the Google image search as well. So if you've done a good job here, you may find that you're getting traffic from within Google's image search as well for that particular phrase. So if you're selling cheap golf shoes, for example, and you have actually labeled that cheap golf shoes, somebody might be over on images and typing in golf shoes, and they may come across your image and actually go over to your website, and they are interested in golf shoes because they've clicked on that. They've actually searched for that. And so don't underestimate the value of traffic that you could get from Google's image search alone, not to mention including your keyword in the alt attribute will also assist you. Consolidate your images into a single directory just to make your life easier. I always recommend you have a folder for all pictures named images. That's a good strategy to do. It makes life easier for you and you know where all your files are. So a good example would be yourdomain.com/images/sample-image-1. How you name your images is also important. So you'll notice I named mine sample-image-1. Having a clean name with your keyword is also an important ranking factor. Use the most common image formats. Those would include JPEG, so .jpg, GIF, PNG, and bitmap BMP. BMP is not used as often, but JPEG, GIF, and PNG are used all the time. Image best practices: avoid using non-descriptive file names, so like image1, image2, image3. So in my example, I use sample. That's where you would put in your keyword. So let's say you have a picture of a Callaway Golf driver, then give the descriptive name. So it would be Callaway Golf driver. If you have multiple ones, you could say Callaway Golf driver 1, Callaway Golf driver 2. If your keyword phrase is golf training club, golf-training-club. And that's also another way that you could get that additional traffic. That and the alt tag, that you could get additional traffic from the Google search results from not only the image search but also the main search as well, because it's another spot where you can cleanly and ethically put in your keyword phrase and do it in a nice way. Don't write long file names though either to stuff your keywords, and again, don't stuff the keywords in the alt tag of your images. Here's some examples of good alt tags. Popular golf training aid, fish oil supplement benefit chart. So like let's say you have fish oil supplements and you've created a chart which shows the benefits of using fish oils. You could actually call it fish oil supplements benefit chart, where fish oil supplements is your phrase, but it explains and it's descriptive to somebody that maybe doesn't land on it what your page is about. And let's say they have images turned off, or they have a slow web browser, they're on a slow connection so they can't see images, but that actually helps them understand what they're missing out on, and Google does like that kind of stuff. Plus it helps you get your keyword in there in a ethical way so it's not stuffing keywords as well. Our Make Money Online guide. Let's say you have a picture of your ebook on how to make money online. You could call it our Make Money Online guide. Here is an example of what the alt tags would look like if you use the example of popular golf training aid that I use there. You'll notice here you could use Composer for this. I'm using Composer for this example. And you'll notice here, if you're going to do the straight code, it would be the source of your image, and then it would be alt equals, and in quotes, that would be exactly where you put in your alt tag. That's where you put in that text. If you're using doing it by hand coding, that's how it would look, or if you wanted to share this with your web designer. If you're using a tool like Composer, they make it really easy. As you're actually inserting your image, it'll say alternative text there. You could choose not to use it, but I would recommend always using it. And for example, let's say you have a picture of a member, for example, and a member's software and you're doing a review on it. So you would say a member features list. And that would be a good way to list it, because then people may come across it in the Google image search, or it's just another way your keyword shows up. Another area you can utilize it on is if you're inside WordPress. You'll notice this ebook here called List Success. Notice if you're under media, so you can upload a picture you can just upload media to your website. And where it says alternative text there, inside your image, so after you've uploaded the image using WordPress's media upload tool, it'll say alternative text, and you could actually plug in your alternative text. So here's 3 different ways. I show you how to do it by hand by using a program like Composer, if that's how you're modifying your site, or if you're going to do it through WordPress site, you could do it that way. Other tools like the BigCommerce and those tools for e-commerce type sites and other content management systems, they also enable that. Most good ones that are worth it, they do a good job of it. You could also find some alt tag naming or image optimization tools for WordPress that would be good plugins as well. And this is again how you add alt tags to your images. So anchor text links. These are also another important on-page ranking factor. Anchor text, it's that clickable text you see on a website. Typically, it's that blue underlined text that you have show up. And anchor text should tell what content is found on that page. And this is talking about internal linking or linking off to other sites as well. You can control your anchor text when linking within pages on your site, and that's an important factor. Now, one thing you want to do, so here's a good example. You need to follow these steps to improve your golf score starting today. And improve your golf score, that would actually be an anchor text link. In this example above, improve your golf score is the actual anchor text, and that tells the search engines exactly what that page is going to be about. Easy to understand anchor text makes life easier on Google and your visitors. And this is something internally that you can do because you want to improve how Google views your site, most importantly, how your visitors interact with your content. And if you're using it that way, it's good. Now, we already touched on, a negative ranking factor would be using anchor text links that show up, all over the web, and you have 100 links coming to your site with the anchor text improve your golf score. Well, that doesn't look natural to Google. This is just talking like internally on your site. Links coming into your site can also use anchor text, but it's not something you want to pursue heavily, as I just pointed out. You want to diversify that. It should be things like click here, click this link, check this out, yourdomain.com, www.yourdomain.com. It should vary when you're doing any kind of link building. Too many with the same anchor text can actually hurt your ranking, and your link building does not look natural that way. So I'm talking about on-page SEO, not off-page or link building, but I wanted to point this out because it's good to use good quality anchor text on your own site. And again, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to have every single page that links to your improve your golf score page to link to it that way, but it does make it easy on the eyes. Don't worry about anchor text for your inbound links as well. You just don't want to worry about it. There's no perfect ranking. Now it's just however you can get a link, do it. The only thing you want to worry about is that you're getting links for various different kinds of anchor text. Here's anchor text best practices for within your site. Anchor text should give users a basic idea of the content they will find if they click on it. Short anchor text, do not hyperlink an entire sentence. It looks terrible. Make your links stand out. Avoid using links that are the same color as your other text. Use the traditional bright blue and underline links if you want. That's what most people use and are familiar with. Use anchor text links on your internal links as well. You'll see in the example above, it becomes like a cream color that improve your golf score. It becomes that kind of color. That's just, or a peach color, and that's what this particular PowerPoint theme is actually using. Use anchor text links on your internal links to pages within your site. Anything to make Google's life easier or your visitors' life easier is a win-win. They should know exactly, like in the example above, that page is about improving your golf score. In the next video, we're going to talk about negative ranking factors. This concludes all the training on page SEO. Now we're going to talk about negative ranking factors, what things you can do that actually will harm your website's ranking in the search engines.